Hey everybody, Adam here. Hope everyone is doing well. I've got my brand new 24 karat solid gold sunglasses on. Just bought these the other day. Wanted to treat myself because I'm making big bucks from my hundreds of YouTube views. In fact, I'm probably gonna make so much money from this video, I think I'll buy a new solid gold hat to match these glasses. Because, like every financially responsible multi-millionaire, or is it billions? I'm losing track. Either way, I take my money, I turn it into gold, and then I wear it on my body. Now that's not financial advice. Maybe it is. In all seriousness, I've noticed that most people don't post their failures on their YouTube channel. Pretty weird, right? So I thought it would be fun to show you one of my many failures, because I think it might be a bit more insightful, valuable, educational, perhaps even inspirational, as opposed to just being like, hey, here's a thing I did, pretty cool, huh? All right, see ya, because I just do cool stuff all the time and everything's a success, because I never fail at anything. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the remains of the destruction, and I'll give you a little backstory. Ain't that right, Terry? Yeah, Adam, that's a great plan. What are you doing, cute man? What are you doing rolling in that dirt? No, we're not going there. Alright, so we just got some rain and some hail. I was actually hoping it would rain because it's too hot today. Too hot this summer. Too hot to record outside, but I have to because I gotta make that money. You know, au pairs and butlers and maids and gardeners and chefs and personal trainers and bodyguards, they're expensive, especially when you pay them six-figure salaries and you send all their kids to fancy private schools, and it's lobster tails and Cristal for dinner every night. But I got to keep my staff happy. Last thing I want is a mutiny, because, you know, God forbid some disgruntled staff member shoots me through one of my beautiful ears. There goes my YouTube career. Anyway, rich people problems. So as you can see, here is the foundation, what's left of it. This was just a pretty crude stone and mortar foundation that I made by hand, nothing special. You can see where the building was notched into it. Now, most of you probably know what a TKO is, a technical knockout, when the boxer gets punched but doesn't completely pass out. They just fall over and they're like trying to get up, but they can't quite get up. Maybe the ref calls it. He gets all wound up after a rainstorm. So the TKO punch, so to speak, happened a couple years ago. Also, during this time of year, during the summer, we got this really, really, really big storm. I've referenced it a bunch of times on the channel, and it knocked the building off its foundation right here, where you can see this corner broke. And it didn't knock it all the way down. It didn't completely destroy it, but it got pretty wobbly after that. And then over the next couple of years, we had a few similar storms that just sort of, you know, they were just like extra punches. And I was the ref who eventually stepped in and said, That's it. You're done, son. As you saw in that clip at the beginning, by the way, here's some more of what's left. As you saw in that clip at the beginning, even after I stripped the building down to almost nothing but the frame, what you saw at the start of that clip was after I'd already removed most of the siding and the plastic. So it was almost just the frame. It was still really hard to pull it all the way over. So it might have stood up for another year or two, but I just really didn't want to chance it falling on him. You can see he likes to lay around here, or falling on myself or Taryn, or just falling in general in an uncontrolled way, because that could have resulted in all sorts of broken glass and debris all over the ground, which would have just been a huge mess to clean up. So what you're seeing left on the ground here is just a tiny fraction of the remainder of the materials, because most of the materials I repurposed into that fence. So I really needed a tall, solid fence there, and I had just taken down the greenhouse, and yeah, most of what you're seeing there is the old greenhouse. I used the studs to make fence posts and battens, as you can see right there. I used the metal panels from the roof and metal panels that were on this back wall. And everything else is stuff I just sort of already had. Take you over there so you can get a closer look. So if you watched my video called How to Build a Super Strong Privacy Fence, I pretty much used the same methods. This one isn't quite as robust, not as many details on the back. Obviously I used corrugated steel panels instead of 2x6 boards, and instead of 4x4 pressure treated posts, I just screwed two regular 2x4s together, painted them, and that's how you make what I call a poor man's post. But they work just as well, really. And I got some other random stuff going on here, like this is a very old computer desk of mine that I just built right into the fence, so I got a little work area over here. Actually even incorporated one of the old antique windows into this fence. Right there. This section had already been here for a few years. This was the prototype of my new fence I'm building over there. So, you know, it just seemed natural to continue right off of that. As for the rest of those antique windows, dude, are you drinking bucket water? Rainwater off that bucket? Like, because you're a bucket head, man. Look, what are you gonna do? Bite me with that cute mouth? I don't think so. You're always distracting me, man. I just lost my train of thought. Oh, the rest of the windows. I was only able to salvage 3 or 4 of them, other than the one you just saw over there. Right there in the shipping container now. I was surprised that most of them didn't break until I started to dismantle everything, and the frames. They were these old wood framed windows. They started to fall apart. So yeah, some of them unfortunately just had to get binned, as they say across the pond. And just in case anyone is curious, this fence is 300 feet roughly in length. I always find it remarkable how much linear distance you can cover when you take even a small building like what was there and you unravel it and flatten it out. Pretty interesting. Again, not all of these materials came from the greenhouse. I mean, you can see like those really old rusted panels right there. I've just had those lying around for years. Oh, here's a little tip. I think it's a good idea whenever you're building a very long fence that's also very tall, throw in a right angle every so often. I got one there. Got another one right over here. It just makes the fence that much stronger. I think it also might be good for breaking up the sound deflection, because it's just like one more obstacle to knock some energy out of the sound waves. And as some of you know, right over here is where we've got those extremely noisy neighbors and their yappy dogs. So I'm always trying to bust up some sound waves. But yeah, so that's what happened to the greenhouse. You know, when you're building out of not the best or newest materials, you can't expect stuff to last that long. This whole this whole wall right here, the front wall, if you will, of the greenhouse, was almost entirely antique windows and old pallet wood. So not exactly the strongest stuff. There was something else I wanted to mention. Geez, what was that? Oh, well, so this started to, like I said, let's say, well, it started to break down and fall apart about 2 years ago. I built it in 2020, so it was 4 years old before I finally took it down completely. I did put a video on this channel just kind of giving an overview of it, but I don't think I uploaded that video until a year or two after I built it, so timeline's a little wonky there. But yeah, it was 4 years old, and like I said earlier, I probably could have stretched it out for another year or two, but it just didn't seem worth the risk. And it's because of this and other things like this that have happened that I now tend to overbuild most things, like our new house over there. If you've seen the framing in that house, then you know I definitely overbuilt it. Not the biggest fan of that term, because can you really overbuild something, or are you just making it last longer? I don't know what I'm going to do with these things, these little bottle windows that I made. I think I mentioned in my video about the greenhouse that these were, so that's how you'd see them from the outside when they were on the greenhouse. Yeah, they were kind of a pain in the wazoo to make, which is why I didn't make that many of them. It didn't seem worth the amount of effort it was taking, and now I have no idea what I'm going to do with them. I don't know, maybe I can turn them into some sort of an art project, or maybe Taryn can do something with them. And I guess the last point I'll bring up before I wrap this video up is that when stuff like this happens, of course I'm devastated right in the moment, but I got over this pretty quickly. Poor Taryn, she actually cried when I told her we were going to have to tear it down, but she also got over it quickly. And that's because I'm used to things not lasting forever. Most of the things I've ever created are now missing, lost, destroyed. God knows what happened to them. And I don't just mean structures. I'm talking about all kinds of artwork. paintings, music, writings, photographs. So yeah, I've been creating things and losing them, so to speak, for pretty much my entire life now. So not a big deal. And I've also learned to see the bright side in failures, especially as a builder, building failures, because that's the best way to learn what works and what doesn't. If everything you build is a success, it might just be luck and you haven't really learned anything. That was the case with this greenhouse. For the first 2 years, it was fine. We had plenty of storms. I think I mentioned in the video I made about the greenhouse, even though it didn't have a robust roof on it, but it could take a snow load, no problem. And I thought, oh, this thing is gonna last forever. I even remember one day one of our neighbors came by and took a look at it and was like, oh yeah, out here, wow, I've never seen a greenhouse this overbuilt. This is gonna last forever out here. Until it didn't. Until we finally got a proper storm. And then I realized, okay, I could have done that better. So I think that's about it. Not the most interesting thing in the world, but some of you might have been curious to see this. And yeah, I'm gonna build a new greenhouse, a much better greenhouse over by our new house. But I'm not gonna do that until I'm finished with the new house. So you'll probably have to wait at least another year or two before there's anything to see there. I did come up with a new method of framing for that house that I'm excited to try out and to share with you. I think it's going to work really well. But again, we're going to have to wait a while. So, with that said, I'm going to wrap it up here. I will see everyone in the I will see everyone in the next video. And until then, peace.